Alright, welcome back to another video. This time I'm going to be diving into the McFarlane DC Multiverse, which to say the least is a pretty divisive line of action figures. I think we get a lot of good out of McFarlane's DC Multiverse, but we also get a lot of bad. But with the figure we've got with us right here, the AZRAEL Batman armor from the Knightsend comic, I'd say this is one of the few times where we get something that's really good and has almost no flaws. And when I really think about it, this action figure is a perfect example of almost exactly what I want when it comes to DC or Batman action figures at this price point. Alright, just getting straight into it here with the packaging. It's your standard DC Multiverse box, nothing crazy going on. I do really enjoy how they put the name on the side right there. As you can see on the inside, I left the stand and the collectible card in there because those are kind of useless. And taking a look at the back, you can see an enlarged image of that collectible card, which is, in my opinion, a way better option than just giving us a collectible card. I don't have the space for cards. I don't care about that. But having the packaging, have some sort of collectible value to it, aside from the figure, I think that's pretty cool. And of course, the art on the back looks really good. I love that image. And here we are with AZRAEL in his Batman armor. His armor has had a few different variations across the Nightfall series. He has that classic blue and gold Batman armor where he looks a lot more like Batman. He's got a cape and it's more like a regular suit of armor. This is more like some sort of flight suit, I believe. I have not read the Nightfall comic. I'll get to it eventually. I'm going through the White Knight stuff right now, but I have seen a lot of art from it in the past. I'm pretty familiar with the gist of the story. It's Batman versus Bane. AZRAEL comes in when Batman gets defeated and tries to take over. And of course, the story with AZRAEL in almost every Batman story is that he wants to kill people and become the new Caped Crusader, but Batman doesn't want to let that happen, so they end up fighting each other. AZRAEL ends up stealing a bunch of Batman's technology, which is how he ends up with these crazy, elaborate bat suits, which in my opinion have always looked really awesome. And it's one reason why AZRAEL has been one of my favorite characters. Not just does he have a really awesome backstory, but his character designs have always been peak in my opinion. Dude, there's like 5,000 18-wheelers going by outside my window. I can't stand it. It's not even a highway. It's like a normal road out there. I don't even think 18-wheelers supposed to be on there. Anyways, I really don't think they could have interpreted this design much better with this figure. There's a few things on there, like you have this belt that's on his thigh. That's not accurate. They just they left that on there from the retooling of the previous AZRAEL Batman figure, which I'm not too upset about because it still goes with the overall, like it doesn't look out of place or anything like that, but of course it's not accurate, so it shouldn't be there. But overall, just an amazing looking figure, and I'll throw up some pictures of this suit from the comics, and you can definitely tell that they did a good job representing it. When it comes to the sculpts, the paint apps, I love how this guy looks. He's got these detachable wings on the back, which are gigantic, by the way. And this figure still goes for like a normal retail price. I got him for about 25 bucks with taxes on Amazon. And if this were something like in the Black Series or Marvel Legends or whatever, they probably would have charged like 10 to 20 extra bucks just for these wing pieces, which you can remove. Each one of them is removable if you want to do that for whatever reason. But he does look a lot cooler with them on, and they're pretty easy to take on and off. The one issue I do have is that it is kind of hard to get this guy standing up. The wings are going to weigh him down in the back a little bit, which is unfortunate. So you do have to put a bit more effort into getting him into a pose that allows him to stand up properly and still look good. And let's take a closer look at that helmet sculpt. It just, dude, it's insanely cool looking. I love how they chose a red color for the visor. If this is something where it's like if I'm a criminal in Gotham and this thing just like freaking slams down onto a rooftop over me, like I'm done, I'm pissing my pants, I'm running away. That is something I've always loved about AZRAEL's character designs. Whether he's in the Batman armor or not, he's always looked a lot more intimidating than Batman. And let's take a look at that bat symbol. They painted it on there pretty good. There are a few spots like up here in the corner where they just like, I don't know, I think that paint is just wearing off or whatever. Which is not good because I just bought this, but it's not too bad. It doesn't ruin anything, and overall I say it looks pretty good. Always loved this version of the bat symbol. And moving down to the gauntlets, you can see they're a lot more complicated than what Batman's would be. They still got the frills coming out on the side, but now they've got what seems to be like a machine gun or some sort of weapon attached to it, and they've got this magazine tubing or whatever, I don't know what you would call this, and it's coming down, draping over his gauntlets and connecting to the back, which is just a really cool look. I love when they do that with character designs. They got that with like Boba Fett and stuff like that. It just looks really cool. And one of my favorite things about this figure is the silver gloves. It's kind of like the icing on the cake. I wish you would have had some alternate hands with this guy where he's like got open hands and he's like grasping for something, because as you can see on the art that they chose for the back, he's like got open hands and he's like I don't know, clawing at something. It looks really cool. I wish we could have had something like that, because his gloves look like talons or whatever. But unfortunately, we only get the fists for this figure. There's no other accessories, by the way. It's just those wings, and that's all you get. And moving down to the legs, we've also got those frills coming out on the sides, just like with the gauntlets, which I think is a really cool kind of extra detail to add. Just makes the suit a little bit more different. But the legs are all gray aside from the belt. And while they do look more simple, I would say they just look really cool. And something that they did a really good job with on this figure is just making it look like it came straight out of the comic. You know, I look at it and it's not something that looks super realistic or anything like that. You know, it looks like a design that would come from a comic book with the brighter colors and more simplistic designs that we have. You know, there's not a whole lot of super complex things going on with this. And it just makes it look very stylized, but very good at the same time. So getting into the articulation with the head on this guy, you do get a bit of up and down. Actually, barely any up if you don't want his head to just pop off. Get a little bit of side to side. Actually, most of the articulation with the head is pretty good. You just can't get him to look up a whole lot. Like, that's as farthest I can go to look up. But you can get a good amount of expression out of it with it looking down and tilting side to side and all that kind of stuff. The shoulders are pretty good as well, but they are going to be a bit hindered by the soft plastic on the pauldrons. Pretty good bend on the elbow. No articulation really on the hands because they're fists and they're going to be colliding a lot with that gauntlet armor. So just not a whole lot you can get out of it. You can get a swivel. It is a ball hinge joint in there, it looks like, but you just can't really utilize it. And getting onto the torso articulation, you can get him to, if I can move his legs out of the way, you can get him to, and so the wings might fall off. You get him to bend forward that much, bend backward a pretty good amount. And there's the side to side, which is okay. You can get him to swivel around 360, all of that. Hip articulation is pretty good as well. He's got like nothing to hinder him right there, so you can do pretty much anything you want. You get the splits, just basically anything almost. Knees go back pretty far. You've got really good ankle articulation with a tilt as well. Well, a little bit of a tilt. Let me look at that. So yeah, the ankle articulation is decent. You do get sort of an ankle pivot on there. Kind of a sticky joint though. Toe articulation as well. So as you saw, a few of the wings did come off back there. So if you're trying to pose them around, maybe you want to take those off and then put them back on. So with the articulation, you can get a lot of posability out of this guy. I'd say it's pretty decent articulation for the most part. Just a few hindrances here and there. And of course, the joints, like, it's a McFarlane figure. It's not going to have very smooth joints, unfortunately. I've put him in some pretty cool looking poses here. I really love having him just kind of stand like arched back, standing on top of a gargoyle. I don't know, I just think that's a really cool look for this figure. Okay, so I really don't have too much left to say about this figure, especially since he doesn't come with any accessories. He's got the wings, he's got the stuff that I left in the box, but other than that, I mean, like, there's nothing else that this figure really comes with. It is just a nice, simple figure that looks really good, has really good articulation as well, and overall, I can't say anything too bad about it. They messed up with the paint in a couple spots, and it isn't going to be 100% accurate to the comic version. They did release a blue version of this figure as like a platinum chase variant, and the blue is basically just that it's going to be blue armor where you see red armor on this figure. I think it looks pretty cool. I might get it at some point, but it is a lot more expensive, and I just don't think a color swap is worth that much. Very great figure here, and especially for the price you're going to be paying for it, if you're paying retail for it, it is definitely worth a pickup. Alright, and that's pretty much all I have to say. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.